Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests. And today we go into Florida. We go to Florida to Yvonne, the screenplay writer. Yvonne, welcome and introduce yourself. Who is Yvonne who's going to join us today?
Yeah, hi, Susan. This is Yvonne, and I'm originally from Switzerland, like you are. Mm-hmm. And I always had a dream to go to the United States. And eventually in 1993, I moved to New York City. And I planned staying there a year or two. But then as it worked out, I met my husband, who is from New York City. That means I never left.
I think that's what's happening in New York. Either you love it or you hate it. But let's talk about, I know many times you and I, we speak about dreams and fulfilling the dreams. What was your dream when you were little?
Well, I had a lot of dreams, but one of the biggest dreams was I always liked to tell stories. I was able to tell stories out of nowhere. And I was very good in writing and in languages. That's where it actually started. I wanted to always become a storyteller.
That sounds magical in a way. And did you write when you grew up, or how did that all start?
I was reading a lot of books, but I also was writing. And my uncle moved to Canada. We were writing a lot of letters to each other. He wanted to keep German and I wanted to improve my English. That's where it started. Then in my teenage years, I actually started writing a novel. I had no guts and I gave it up. And whatever pages I wrote, I threw it in the garbage, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah.
That's so sad. But let's go to the now. What is happening now?
Yeah, now I actually tried to get a new career as a screenplay writer. I had to make up my mind, what am I really good at? And that is writing. And as you recall, back then, a few years ago, I told you when you were at the NYU, I said, I really would like to start writing. And you gave me a brochure from NYU. And sure enough, I found advanced screenplay writing classes and I attended them.
I remember those days. I remember your eyes were like, I don't have time, but this is something that I want. I'm very happy that I was the person who pushed you a little bit. And how is that? I mean, to me, when we watch movies, everything looks so easy and simple and magical. How is it?
Well, it is actually very, very difficult, I have to say. Once I started writing screenplays, I had to buy a special software because the industry in Hollywood is very strict. You have to have the special font. You have to follow a million rules. And the software really helps. Everything has to be shown. That's probably the biggest difference. If you don't write it down, it will not happen in the movie. I never imagined that it's so difficult to express things and emotions that cannot be put down on a paper, but you have to show it.
Oh, maybe give us an example. Rolling the eyes, or how do you describe that? Or give us a good example.
I mean, there are different stages, like you have action segments where you give stage directions. You can actually say, well, Carol rolls her eyes. You can write this down. But the thing is, as a writer, you should not give too many instructions. Otherwise, the director or the actors feel insulted. That's a very fine line. You have to kind of giving directions, but only hint them that you don't kind of interfere with the creativity of a director or an actor. That's what I also have to learn.
If you think you're creative and you're your own boss, not necessarily somebody else will come in and they put in their creativity. In a way, when you have written the screenplay, somebody might take it and put a different slant on it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that too. And that's why actually a lot of directors do write their own screenplays, exactly for that reason, because I'm a rookie. It's my first screenplay. If I'm able to sell my script, they probably will change a lot of things. And a lot of screenwriters don't like that, of course, because it's your artwork and it's also a different type of interpretation sometimes. But I definitely do not have the funds or whatever to direct the movie. But that's really, it's not easy. I'm saying my first script is actually based on a book and a true story, which kind of narrows the possibility down for me. I'm not as flexible and free to create certain things as if it were my own story.
I remember I was once in the movie with the Kite Runner and I loved that book. And then I went to see the movie and I was like, they basically took out, I don't know, 5 or 10 years. And in that movie, when they moved forward, I was like, no, my whole world was crushed because I read the book and the book was excellent. I thought the movie was not so good.
Now, that's exactly my challenge and my problem. But I feel like I was destined to write the script about the book because a friend of mine, Michelle, who wrote the book about her late sister-in-law in Scotland, it's her first book, and she asked me if I would be willing to write the script. That's why I put my own story that I planned on writing, which is a fictional story. I put that aside. Yes, I absolutely agree. Michelle and I have often discussions because the book has 380 pages. I was told my script has it. I had to reduce it so many times. You cannot have more than 110 or 115 pages. So you can imagine where the rest is. Unfortunately, a movie is never as good as a book.
Basically, it's a third that you can put into a movie. Is it fair to say that obviously a movie is going much faster than a book in a way? You can put more stuff in a screenplay, but you have to make it short.
Yeah, that's why I have been editing now so many times. I spent almost 2 years now on editing because the situation is you have to be very careful. If you move too fast along, then people get confused. Or what happened now? Or why is this happening? It's a very difficult situation. And many times I wanted to eliminate something from the book that happened. And then the book author said, no, I want this in the script. And I'm like, but no, this is not working. I cannot have this. And it's also a different situation about from the perspective of the marketing, which has to be considered because whoever will buy my script, they're not necessarily interested in my story. They only want to make money. Okay. That's the whole issue. My story has a lot of characters. It has a lot of location, which makes the movie much more expensive. That's why I also had to try to reduce certain characters or to combine certain things.
I never would have thought, but I mean, there's so many ingredients going into the movie that when you are watching a movie, you don't see what goes into the movie.
Since I've been writing this or screenplays, I'm not really able to watch a movie anymore like I used to watch. You go there and you watch a movie. Now, every movie that I've been watching, I'm like a surgeon and take every single thing apart and analyze it. And it's amazing. If you pay attention sometimes how much happens in 1 minute, it's absolutely amazing. Try to pay attention to 1 minute or 2 minutes. And sometimes you have so many actions and things going on that if you don't really pay attention, it's amazing.
I will.
What's also very important, of course, is the music. If you turn off the sound from a movie, there are a lot of scenes are totally falling apart. Originally, we had some type of music planned, but then I was told that I'm not supposed to put in any music. This is really part of the director or the producers to decide. But the music is very, very important.
Can you be part of that, or that's not?
Well, because it's a true story, there are a few songs that I put in the script because they were part of a scene. Hopefully they let it in there. She was listening to a few CDs from Olivia Newton-John, who also has breast or recurring breast cancer, but she has like healing CDs. She was listening to a lot of those CDs, which I put in. I'm sure certain things will be cut out. I have no influence.
Well, I wish you good luck. And tell us about you. So now you're submitting your script and you were chosen. What happened in Glasgow?
Because I'm a first-time writer, there are tons and tons of competitions and contests and film festivals. I have submitted it to about 10. One, I received an honorable mention for the finalists. And then for the film festival in Glasgow, I made it to a quarterfinalist. And they gave me a 3-page review, which was very promising. They also told me what they would like me to change.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have another one outstanding. It's an international women's film festival in Los Angeles, and they particularly wanted only submissions from women and about women's stories. They advanced my script into their film festival, and the finals, I think probably in about a month, I will find out what happens. And then I have 4 more contests that I'm awaiting the results. If you win in a contest, every festival has different options. Some give you prizes, like one festival pays the winner $25,000, for example. Some give you the option to meet with a producer, but at least I have my foot a little bit into the door now.
When you look back, what is the biggest revelation that you've had? I mean, you said it's difficult, but what have you learned? If somebody wants to follow in your footsteps, what would you tell them?
Just never give up. I mean, I had so many setbacks, but I feel you can only grow and learn from failure. And I also grew up with a lot of sports. I'm used to today you win, tomorrow you lose. Always get up, back on your feet, and never give up. But sometimes, because it's also mentally very straining, sometimes I had days or weeks, I looked at the page and I could just not write anything. And then I had to put it aside. But it's very rewarding. And eventually, I think storytelling brings people together. And especially now in this pandemic where so many people sit home and watch TV, I think every story is worth telling. And hopefully somebody will get something out of it.
I'm sure they will. And I know you're a swimmer, so you swim basically every day if it's possible. I'm wondering, what do you think when you swim? Do you think about your screenplay?
No, when I swim, I kind of trail off with my thoughts. Sometimes I try not to think anything because, if I write on my script, sometimes I have a hard time falling asleep because as soon as I try to fall asleep, my brain starts thinking about, oh, maybe I should change this, maybe I should change that one. I'm very fortunate to live now in a very beautiful environment. The swimming is almost like a meditation. Sometimes I think about my family or my friends or whatever, but nothing special. I'm trying to relax my brain while I'm swimming.
And this is a very important point. I can only agree with you. When you think too much and probably too close to the time when you go to bed, I sometimes work in my dreams and I don't really like that. We need to find a good balance between until when do we work, get a little break, and then we can fall asleep and sleep well. Because if we don't sleep well, then we're not productive and happy the next day, right?
Exactly. But sometimes I wake up and I have a great idea. That happened recently. I knew I wanted to change something in a scene. And guess what? In the morning, I woke up. And especially with the title change, I told you that I felt I need to change the title for the script because it was very perfect for the book. But a lot of producers who read my script told me that title doesn't really say much about the story. And I'm listed on a special website where producers can find scripts. And I told Michelle that looking at the numbers from producers that looked at my logline, and the logline is just a very brief summary of what the movie is or the story. I had over 200 producers who looked at my logline based on the movie title, but then they did not go past it. There were only 4 that read my script. That told me there is something missing. I just felt like there is not a true connection between the title. And eventually I decided I want to change the title. And I had about 20 different variations, but in the morning when I woke up, I knew which title it was, and that's Not Ready for Heaven.
Not Ready for Heaven. Good luck, Yvonne. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in Hollywood.
Thank you so much, Suzanne.
How cool to learn from Yvonne and her screenplay writing career. We want to see her in Hollywood. It will happen. Take it from the Ein Woman. We have episodes every Monday, every Wednesday, or even more. Check in, chime in, follow us on your preferred platform. There's something for everybody. And Take It From the Ein Woman is also a book where you can read about my journey from Switzerland to New York to Indonesia to Kilimanjaro. Don't miss out. Follow us, leave a message, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.